This is Patagonia. A vast, wind-whipped landscape unfolds under an immense sky. Jagged peaks of blue granite claw at the heavens. Rivers of ice, ancient and slow-moving, grind their way through valleys of stone. Spanning the southern reaches of both Argentina and Chile, Patagonia encompasses over 1,043,076 square kilometers of the most dramatic and unforgiving landscapes on our planet. We will explore how this magnificent landscape captures the essence of a place that must be experienced. Our story begins at the end of all things, in the archipelago known as Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire. In 1520, a Portuguese explorer, Ferdinand Magellan, saw the countless campfires of the native people flickering along the shores. Since then, this land was called Land of Fire. Here, the continent fractures into a maze of islands, where the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans wage a perpetual, tempestuous war. This is Cape Horn. For centuries, this 425-meter, 1,394-foot sheer headland was the ultimate maritime graveyard, a name whispered with dread by sailors. Before the Panama Canal, it was the only gateway between the oceans. Rounding the Horn was a rite of passage that claimed over 800 ships and 10,000 lives. The convergence of two great oceans here creates unpredictable weather and ferocious winds known as the Williwaws, which can descend without warning, pushing ships onto the rocks. The shallow continental shelf ends abruptly, causing waves to build to monstrous heights. While the Williwaws, sudden, strong, downhill winds that caused by cold, dense air flows down a slope known as katabatic gusts of winds that can exceed 100 knots, descend from the icy mountains, capable of capsizing a vessel in seconds. Standing here at the 56th parallel south, one doesn't just see the power of nature. One feels it in the very marrow of their bones, a profound sense of being at the precipice of the habitable world. Just north of the Horn's fury lies the sheltered, but no less magnificent Beagle Channel. This 240-kilometer natural passage, named after the ship that carried a young Charles Darwin to evolutionary enlightenment, is a glacial corridor of stunning beauty. The water is a mirror, reflecting the serene peaks. But look closer. On those rocky islets, a colony of South American sea lions basks in the weak sun. Magellanic penguins porpoise through the frigid water, their trajectory purposeful. This channel is a lifeline, a protected highway for the incredible marine life of the region, connecting the isolated settlements of Ushuaia, the world's southernmost city, to the vastness of the Pacific. Our Patagonian saga finds its most dramatic human foothold here, on the southern shore of the Beagle Channel. This is Ushuaia, a city of powerful contrasts and poignant labels. It proudly bears the title Fin del Mundo, the end of the world. For those looking south, it is the last frontier, the final outpost before the vast, empty expanse of the Southern Ocean. But for those looking north, it is the Principio de Todo, the beginning of everything. It is a place of departure and arrival, of harsh history and breathtaking beauty. A gateway city built on the edge of one of the planet's most formidable wildernesses. Long before it was a tourist destination, Ushuaia was the ancestral home of the Yamana people, one of the most resilient indigenous cultures on Earth. They thrived in this harsh climate for thousands of years, navigating the icy waters in canoes, wearing little more than seal fat for insulation. The city's name itself comes from their language. Ushuaia means deep bay or bay penetrating westward. What does the edge of the world really look like? This is a question whispered across millennia. Tierra del Fuego National Park, stretching across the southernmost tip of South America, invites that question the moment you cross its windswept forests and glacial valleys. This is the only Argentine national park with an ocean coastline, where the icy waters of the Beagle Channel meet ancient Lenga and Guindo forests shaped by relentless polar winds. In the 19th century, Charles Darwin and Captain Fitzroy documented its unique wildlife: Andean foxes, Magellanic woodpeckers, black-chested buzzard eagles, and migratory seabirds that ride the storms blowing up from Antarctica. Within this rugged landscape lie some of the park's most iconic places. The tranquil shores of Lago Roca with its mirror-like reflections, the mysterious darkness of Laguna Negra rich in peat sediments, and the serene, fjord-like Lapatea Bay. The park's glacial valleys and peat bogs serve as natural archives, preserving thousands of years of climate history in their quiet layers. Today, you can walk along the end of the World Trail, stand at the final post of Ruta Nacional 3, or ride the old prisoner-built tracks of the end of the World Train, all while surrounded by pristine landscapes where nature still rules. Leaving the mountain spires behind, we journey east to a world of stunning contrast. The Valdez Peninsula is a 4,000 square kilometer sanctuary where a seemingly barren steppe meets one of the richest marine ecosystems on Earth. This is not a lush forest or icy peak. Its magic lies in its water. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the peninsula's unique geography, with two large, protected gulfs, creates a vital nursery and feeding ground, transforming this land of giants into a stage for some of the planet's most spectacular marine mammal dramas. Magellanic penguins, elephant seals, orcas, guanacos, and ostrich-like rheas live side by side. One of the most remarkable behaviors ever documented in wildlife history also takes place here. Patagonian orcas intentionally beach themselves to capture sea lions, a hunting strategy found nowhere else on Earth. This peninsula has long been a biological frontier. Early explorers like Charles Darwin recorded its wildlife in awe during the 1830s voyage of the HMS Beagle, describing it as a barren plain alive with creatures of the coast. Journeying north, we reach the pulsing, frozen heart of Patagonia. This is the domain of the southern Patagonian ice field, the second largest contiguous body of ice outside the poles. A remnant of the last ice age, this colossal sheet of ice spans 13,000 square kilometers and feeds 47 major glaciers. It is a river of ice that has carved the very face of the continent. It is the source of legendary giants like Perito Moreno, Grey Glacier, and Viedma Glacier. His colossal ice mass holds climate records thousands of years old, its layers preserving stories of volcanic eruptions, temperature shifts, and even ancient atmospheric conditions. The ice field is still a frontier today, continuously moving, cracking, and reshaping the land around it, feeding turquoise lakes and carving deep valleys as it slowly advances and retreats. Flowing from this ice field is perhaps the most iconic performer in Patagonia's glacial theater, the Perito Moreno Glacier. Unlike most glaciers worldwide, Perito Moreno is in a state of equilibrium, actively advancing and retreating in a delicate, dynamic balance. It is a living, breathing, groaning entity. The spectacle is constant, a symphony of cracking and calving. But its most dramatic performance is the cyclical rupture. As it advances, it periodically dams the southern arm of Lago Argentino, creating a colossal pressure differential until the ice dam catastrophically fails in a days-long, earth-shattering spectacle, one of nature's greatest shows of force. The ice field is framed by the cathedral spires of the Andes, protected within the vast expanse of Los Glaciares National Park, Argentina's largest protected area and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Is a place where the forces of ice and time are visible everywhere you look. Covering more than 7,000 square kilometers, the park holds a colossal portion of the southern Patagonian ice field, feeding more than 40 glaciers including the legendary Perito Moreno, Uppsala, and Viedma. Los Glaciares is not only about ice. Its northern sector is home to the world-famous silhouettes of Mount Fitzroy and Cerro Torre. Peaks so dramatic that early explorers debated whether they were real or optical illusions. Mount Fitzroy, known to the indigenous Tehuelche as Chalton, the mountain that smokes, is a magnet for the world's elite climbers, a formidable challenge of unstable weather and sheer granite walls. Its neighbor, Cerro Torre, is arguably the most beautiful and technically difficult mountain on Earth, a slender, impossibly steep spire of rock, often sheathed in a treacherous rime ice mushroom. For hikers, the trails here offer soul-stirring vistas of these granite gods, their reflections captured in the still, turquoise waters of Laguna de los Tres and Laguna Torre. Across the border in Chile, the drama continues in Torres del Paine National Park. The centerpiece is the Paine Massif, a geological masterpiece sculpted by glacial forces over 12 million years. The three towers are the park's defining symbol, a destination for one of the world's most famous treks. Flowing from the southern Patagonian ice field is the Grey Glacier, a massive river of ice that terminates in Lago Grey. Here, you can navigate between icebergs the size of buildings, their ethereal blue glow a testament to the ancient, compressed ice from which they were born. The park is a complete ecosystem, where herds of guanacos graze the pampas, and the elusive puma stalks its prey under the watchful eye of the condor. Straddling the Chile-Argentina border lies the immense General Carrera Lake, also known in Argentina as Buenos Aires Lake. It is second largest lake in South America. Its waters, colored by fine glacial rock flour, that turn the entire lake into a surreal, milky blue mirror. But the true wonder here is the lake's geological masterpiece. The marble caves, swirling cathedrals of blue stone carved by waves over nearly 6,000 years. The marble caves are a geological dream. For over 6,000 years, the relentless action of the lake's waves has sculpted pure calcium marble into these caverns, cathedrals, and tunnels. Marbles were shaped by relentless waves that slowly polished pure calcium carbonate rock into smooth, swirling tunnels. The result is a dreamlike world where blue light dances across the walls, changing tone with the seasons and the weather. The experience is ethereal. The water's turquoise hue reflects onto the smooth, swirling walls, creating a kaleidoscope of color that shifts with the sun's angle and the water level. It is a place of profound peace and surreal beauty, a testament to the patient, sculpting hand of water and time. As we leave the glowing blue chambers of the marble caves, the calm waters of General Carrera Lake gather speed. The gentle ripples that shaped the marble walls sharpen into a powerful current, funneled toward a single outlet. Within moments, the stillness transforms into motion, becoming the roaring turquoise force of the Baker River, Patagonia's wildest artery. The Baker River is a titan, a thunderous, turquoise torrent that carries the meltwater to the Pacific. Fed by the meltwaters of the northern Patagonian ice field, the river carries glacial sediment that turns it an electric blue. Its journey is a spectacle of raw power, but one of its most fascinating moments is at its confluence with the Neff River. Here, the sediment-laden, milky blue waters of the Baker meet the pristine, clear, deep blue waters of the Neff, flowing side by side before reluctantly mingling, a stunning natural phenomenon of fluid dynamics and contrasting origins. Further north, the Futaleufú River has carved one of the world's most spectacular canyons. Renowned among whitewater enthusiasts for its challenging rapids and stunning scenery, the Futa is a river of dreams. Its water is a shade of turquoise so intense it seems digitally enhanced, set against stark white granite and lush green forests. It is a place of pure adrenaline and awe, where nature's beauty is matched only by its raw power. Venture into the heart of Chilean northern Patagonia, the climate shifts. The dry winds give way to moist Pacific air, creating an emerald kingdom of temperate rainforests, where the very air feels alive. In the heart of Queulat National Park, we witness one of Patagonia's most unique spectacles, the Queulat Hanging Glacier. This river of ice seems to defy gravity, clinging to a cliff face high above a temperate rainforest. From its terminus, meltwater freefalls hundreds of meters into a turquoise lagoon below, creating a permanent, thunderous waterfall that originates from ice. It is a breathtaking contradiction. The cold, slow-moving ice above, feeding the powerful, dynamic waterfall below, all set against a backdrop of impossibly green vegetation. Cradled in the northern reaches of Patagonia, Nahuel Huapi National Park is where the Andes soften into a landscape of deep glacial lakes, ancient forests, and snow-dusted volcanoes. It is the oldest national park in Argentina and one of the most iconic gateways into Patagonian wilderness. At its heart lies Lake Nahuel Huapi, a vast, sapphire blue expanse dotted with islands and framed by jagged peaks. The town of San Carlos de Bariloche sits along its shores, blending alpine charm with access to some of the region's most dramatic adventures. To the west, the trail-lined forests of Arrayanes National Park shelter the rare cinnamon-colored Arrayan trees, a sight found almost nowhere else on Earth. The soaring granite massifs of Cerro Catedral, one of South America's premier hiking and ski destinations, rise above the tree line with year-round alpine views. Further north, the mirror-still waters of Lake Moreno and the panoramic Cerquito Chico route reveal postcard-perfect Patagonia, while the rugged Tronador volcano, the Thunderer, echoes with the sound of collapsing seracs from its hanging glaciers. This is a landscape of sublime beauty, where hiking trails lead to panoramic viewpoints and the air is scented with pine and myrtle. It is a fitting finale, a place that combines the grandeur of the Andes, the serenity of its lakes, and the mystery of its forests, offering a moment of reflection on the epic journey. Patagonia is more than a collection of stunning locations. It is a living, breathing entity, a testament to the monumental forces of tectonics, ice, and time.